Hi, everyone. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
As you come in, please feel free just to say hello, where you're from, give us an idea. Teaching, university, high schools, private language schools. Just give us a little idea so we can have a feeling of the audience. I know not everyone will, but there you go. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Hi, ciao Italia. I know a lot of registrants are coming from Italy. I'm very happy with that because I am based in Ancona in Italy. And our speakers, Erica Favero, is based
In Milano, Italy.
in Milano. And Silvia Caristati, you are based in
Athens, Greece.
Athens. Very good. So we got
Nice.
obviously registrants from many, many different places. Above all, I would say, as far as I can see already, from India. So welcome everybody to this webinar. And this is our fourth edition, proudly to say that. And I've been involved with all of them. So it's a journey that we started back 4 or 5 years ago. And here we are, consistency. Very, very happy to collaborate with Macmillan, Erica,
Thank
Rita,
you. Thank you.
and your team. Thank you very much. And obviously, no need to say I'm very, very happy and proud to also work with our Silvia Caristati from the teachers community and academic side of things. Thank you very much, Silvia, for participating.
Thank you, Giuseppe.
Just allow 1 more minute for everyone to get in. And hello from Cremona, India, Italy. I can see a lot of I's. I, Italy, I, India. There you go. Very good. Benvenuti. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. So, the theme of this webinar, it's a very practical one. Preparing for Language Academic with Macmillan Skillful textbook. It is our very first collaboration point when it gets down to Language Academic. So we've done several projects together with the LanguageCert International ESOL, Language Hub, and then, I'll leave that to Erica. But this is Language Academic. So for me, particularly as country manager in Italy, I'm very proud that we have this moment, and I believe in this exam very much. I believe that for universities and high schools for the fourth and fifth year, it is an excellent exam. It is fit for purpose, and I'll leave that to Sylvia. I'll be your moderator. Please feel free to use the chat. Any considerations, welcome, but please do prepare your questions in the Q&A box that you have at the bottom so that when we get to the Q&A session, I will be able to manage that better. Just to let you know, you will be getting at the end of the webinar a quick pop-up with a very short survey, just a few questions, trust me, less than 6 or 10, take 2-3 minutes. And you'll also be getting a certificate of attendance after the webinar in a few days, literally a few days. We will be sending also the PDF of the mapping that Sylvia will be going through. So stay with us, that will be sent after. So without further ado, let me introduce formally our speakers. I will start with Erica, and allow me to read your bio. And then Erica, if you agree, let's start immediately because there's a lot to cover, a lot of technicalities. I know that Sylvia's needs her time. So Erica Favero has worked with private language schools, companies, and universities, assisting them in their English language teaching journeys. Now, as a university representative for Macmillan Education in Italy, Erica loves connecting with educators, sharing tools to make ELT even better, and is always up for a good chat about teaching tips. And I can confirm that because when we do meet, that's what we do. Thank you very much, Erica. Over to you. Thank you. So, and welcome to all the ones that have just entered. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you, Silvia, and welcome, everybody. So today I'll be talking briefly about Skillful third edition. Let me share my screen so that you can all see what I'm talking about. Okay. You should be able to see my presentation. Okay. So as I say, today I'll talk briefly about Skillful third edition, just to give you a general idea of the material. So first of all, this is my email address. So if you have questions, requests on the material, on whatever the digital tools we're going to look at in a few minutes, please just get in touch. So today we're going to talk about the assets of Skillful Third Edition, structure. We're going to have a very quick unit walkthrough to see how it is structured. Then we'll focus for a couple minutes on the Scientific American section, and then I'll show you what's available for teachers. So let's start with assets. What is Skillful Third Edition? Skillful Third Edition is a series focused on language proficiency, academic skills, and autonomous learning. How are we going to reach these goals? Through a step-by-step approach to skills development, with a critical thinking syllabus, and with authentic integrated skills sections. Each level has independent but combinable books, listening and speaking, and reading and writing, as you can see here on the right. Of course, we also have teacher resources, which are both paper and digital. What are the assets? So the series covers 5 levels. So from A1 to C1, we have blended editions, so the paper edition with the digital code inside. We also have digital-only editions. If you're interested in the digital-only, please get in touch with me. I can send you the right links, a dedicated code. So again, if you're interested in the digital-only, get in touch. Of course, all the digital components are compatible with your devices, so you can use them on your laptop, on your mobile phones, on your tablet. And in the digital components, you'll also find the on-the-go practice, which is further activities you will only find on our app. Which are the levels that have been mapped for the LanguageCERT Academic? B2 and C1. So Sylvia is then going to talk about the mapping, but these are the books that have been mapped for LanguageCERT Academic. Let's now take a look at the structure of the book. So we have 8 main units. You can see it from here. Now consider this is B2 reading and writing. Unit 1 is focused on design. You can see that the topic is design. If we take level 2 listening and speaking, unit 1 will be again on design. So the topic is the same in the 2 books of the same level, but the approach is different. So here you can see just under design that the topic here, the approach is industry and biology. You'll have a different approach for the listening and speaking book. And of course, the contents will have a different focus because this is the reading and writing, and then you have the listening and speaking book. So again, 8 main units, and then you have 5 micro units on integrated skills that use contents from Scientific American. We're going to talk about them in a few minutes. Let's now take a walkthrough in the unit so that you can have a general idea of the structure of a unit. First of all, we start with an opening spread. The opening spread always has the unit aims here at the top of the right page. And we start with a video. We have before you watch, while you watch, and after you watch activities. Of course, we have different videos for the listening and speaking and the reading and writing. Then after the opening spread, we go on with the vocabulary preview and input skill activities. So we start with the vocabulary preview, we start and work on what vocabulary we're going to encounter in the input skill activity, and then we go on, of course, with the activity. It could be listening, could be reading, it depends on the book, but you'll always find these labels next to the activities. These labels help your students always keep in mind what the objective of the activity is. This is key for this book. They always need to understand why they're doing this, what is the academic outcome they are working for. If you're using a digital book, you'll also find here an icon And if you click on the icon, you'll have access to the digital activity itself with, in this case, you have the audio file for the listening activity. For the reading part, you'll have accessible version of the reading activities and, of course, the digital activity itself. So after the input skill, we'll go on with the academic skills. We'll focus a bit longer on the academic skills after the unit walkthrough, because this is a new section that has been added during this third edition. It wasn't there during the second edition of Skillful. It is new, the newest section that has been added in the third edition. After the academic skills, we'll go on with the vocabulary development, critical thinking, and academic words and idioms section. Here, students can stop for a while and work a bit deeper on what they have done before, on what they have done until now. So they use a different approach, reusing the contents and the materials they have been working on before. And then we move on to the output skill. We'll start with the output skill model so that students can analyze and work a little bit on the model itself, and they start getting used to the outcome skill here, and then they work on the grammar. This is very practical activities. These are very practical activities on grammar, because this is the grammar they're going to need for the output skill task. So it depends on if they're working on the listening and speaking book or the reading and writing book. But of course, as I say, this is a very practical approach to grammar. This is something that then they are going to use while completing the final task. And then, of course, we have the final task, which is the output skill task. Here we have speaking skills and writing skills. They always start with a brainstorming. They go on with planning, and then they have the practical part. Okay, this is the general structure. After the output skills task, of course, they go on with the new unit. Okay, so they start again with the opening spread of the new unit. As I said before, let's focus for a while on the academic skills. So as we said, opening spread, then we have input, and then we go on with the academic skills. This is a new section. Here we have abilities and academic techniques that are linked to the unit content. And this section helps students become autonomous learners. So what we put here is just an example, but other techniques could be anticipating opposing views or learning to deduce meaning from context. So what do we do here? We have a first explanation of these abilities and techniques, and then students are going to work on materials they already know. So these are materials they've already used in the input skill section, and they're gonna work on this same material with this new technique, with this new approach. Okay, so they already know the material, they're already confident with the material, just they need to change approach. They need to work a little bit deeper and use these new techniques. Perfect, so this is how a main unit works. Let's now take a look at those 5 micro units I talked about before. As I said, there are these 5 micro units based on Scientific American contents and focused on academic skills. These are important because it presents students with authentic multimodal content, as I said, from Scientific American. And it is structured so that it helps students to get used to English for academic communication and education. You'll see that there's more infographic for the listening and speaking book, while you'll see longer readings for the reading and writing book. But the main thing is that at the end of this very quick section, because it's just a couple pages, students will have a final productive task so that they can actively reuse and apply all the knowledge they have just they've just worked on. So everything they've worked on, then they put it back in the final productive task. What's available for your students and for yourself as teachers? So students have students' book and digital copy, or the digital copy only. Then they'll have the on-the-go practice, which is that digital-only practice that we talked about, and the Students' Resource Center with accessible materials, so materials that they can download, video, audios, script. You as a teacher have the teacher's book, the presentation kit, which is the digital student's book, but with key. So you can present the book itself with key to your students so you can work together on the activities. The on-the-go practice, of course, the digital-only practice. The Teacher Resource Center, which also has extra materials and worksheet. And then you have the homework tool and assessment tool. Through the homework tool, you can assign activities to your students, activities from the student's book and the on-the-go practice. With the assessment tool, you can assign ready-made assessments to your students, or you can create assessments from a question bank and then assign it to your students so that you can always keep track of what you and your students have been working on. Final thing, where do you find all of these? You find all of these contents on the Me app, Macmillan English Everywhere app. Here you can access digital books, digital resources, class management tools, everything in one place. So here from the left, you'll find the class management tools, assessment work, homework, progress, everything we talked about, and of course, the digital books. With the presentation key, you as a teacher have embedded audio, videos, and key. Students, of course, have embedded audio, videos, the digital activities. They do not have the answer key. So they can check if their answers are right or wrong, but they do not have the answer key. They need your help to work on the answer key. So I hope I gave you a clearer idea on the structure of the book itself and the academic outcome that we expect from this series. Thank you again. And this again is my email address. So please just get in touch if you have questions about the book.
Oh.
I'll now pass it over to Silvia so that she can talk about the mapping of this series.
Thank you. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Erica.
In the chat, please, because I think it's going to be useful for people to find it easier, Erica. Thank you. Okay, so moving on. That was very interesting, Erica, to get an insight of your Skillful third edition book. Very, very interesting. Also, the Scientific American link over there. Very nice. Now, allow me to introduce you to Sylvia. Sylvia will be covering, first of all, what is LanguageCert Academic, a little overview on that, but then she'll go into the mapping, which combines the two parts, the content, basically. So, Sylvia. Dr. Sylvia Caristati is a teacher, educator, and lecturer with over 10 years of experience in higher education. She is the head of teacher support at LanguageCert, leading on resources and events to support the teachers' communities around LanguageCert's certifications. She is also an adjunct lecturer at the Union University Greece Department of Foreign Languages, Translations and Interpreting, where she coordinates the department's graduate teacher development program. Well, again, thank you so much, Sylvia, for giving us your time. I'm going to let you go because you've got a lot to talk about. Off you go. Thank you.
It's great to be here. It's great also to see our two main communities, people from India joining and people from Italy as well. So I've done the work over the last months, mapping LanguageCert Academic to Macmillan Skillful levels 3 and 4. And both of these documents will be available to you. What I want to talk about first is LanguageCert Academic and the key features of a test. This is a test that has been designed specifically for higher education admissions. So the content, the skills, the task types are targeting this particular segment of education. It is a multi-level English test, and it's we're targeting students aiming for CFR levels B1 to C2. It doesn't mean that it doesn't measure, but I don't think we would recommend anyone with an A1 level to really attempt the test. So what is a key distinct feature is that it has enhanced academic content for all tasks. And I will present to that, all these to you in a moment. Also, when we report results, we do it in a meaningful manner, also user-friendly. So there is a little bit of feedback that you're given for your performance on the productive tasks as well, based on the marking criteria. The test has been in development for a number of years here in LanguageCert, building on ESOL C1. So it's built on solid research, which will continue, and validation work, which we do with our research team. And obviously, you can access the test. It's an online test through our systems, secure, reliable, and accessible. I want to talk just a little bit more about the test delivery. And some extra points. So as you see, and I will talk about these in relation to the mapping as well, the test focuses on real-world academic skills. So we want to to think and enhance and really assess the skills within academic contexts. So understanding how meaning is built up in academic texts, so how they are structured according to specific conventions, how, what to expect within an academic discourse. And that's why we talk about there is this specific focus for all skills. And we're also aiming for fluent and active reading and writing. And there is an emphasis on oracy through live interlocution, especially in the age of AI. And we are really enhancing these features of oracy. And it is widely accessible through two modes, either through a test center and a secure test network available globally, or online through connecting in our online proctoring system. So this is just some basic information about the test. And I'm going to now move on to the test at a glance, the content of it. It's going to be two components, the written component and the spoken component. So you have the written exam, listening, reading, writing, and you see the timings and the types of questions. I will go deeper into these in the presentation. And you also have the speaking exam with 4 parts. Now, over the last couple of months, we have been working on mapping and enhancing the materials and the resources. There are a number of, we have quite comprehensive support materials on our website through practice papers, digital practice papers, tips for candidates, videos as well, with performance assessed, writings, etc. And I will give you the links at the end if you want to visit our own resources. But always, we know that teachers and institutions rely on numbers of resources. And we also wanted to extend a little bit the journey, the learning journey. And that's why we wanted to work with a book that we felt captures a number of the components that we see very much reflected in LanguageCert Academic. So today these are the spread pages, the open pages of the documents that we will share with you, the mappings. And we've mapped level 4 and level 3, both books. So it's 4 books that you will see at the end, reading and writing, and also the book on listening and speaking, level 4 and level 3. Now, when you will see these documents, just because, for example, we are mapping reading and writing, and this is the book on reading and writing, for me, when I was doing the work, it didn't just feel that, okay, I can use this book and there's nothing interesting for me with relation to listening. There's nothing interesting for me with relation to speaking. There was actually. So you will see that we have comments and mapped activities for all the skills of the exam. Now, let's start with examples. So what I will do now is I will present, because a lot of you might not know, the task type that one will find when they work with LanguageCERT Academic. And then I will suggest materials that would work very well when people are preparing students for these particular task types. So the listening is 4 parts and a duration of 40 minutes. And here you see the parts in listening to conversations and also listening to larger conversations and identifying topics. Also listening to lectures, such as a monologue, and listening to discussions. So we have a variety of genres and topics here as well. I want to emphasize that LanguageCERT Academic has an emphasis on conversations. It's not just lectures, but also conversations within academic contexts. So I'm going to focus here on part 2, because I can't cover everything within the time that we have. So you will see me skipping a few things just to honor the slot here, but we have mapped everything. So in part 2 for LanguageCERT Academic, we are focusing, as I said, on this conversation. It's a conversation between 2 speakers. It's an academic context. You see the examples there on the slide. This is from our practice papers. Again, the test is digital. What you see here, obviously, is a paper version of the practice papers, but it works a little bit better as a sample for you to look at. The screens do not translate so well. So they need to decide, and they focus on meaning, cause and effects, intention. Now, what I would do when I was looking at listening, there are a number of models, as Erica said very helpfully. Skillful works with models, and it also works with speaking models. So there are moments in the text where they are actually picking out different aspects of academic conversations. And these are 2 examples here from Unit 1 and Unit 6 from Skillful 4. So these conversations are not just the monologues, but you're trying to get to these interactive competence elements. And so I would be using these conversation moments. And again, I'm just giving you here some examples. In the PDF, we have a whole list of things that one can possibly use from the book. Listening part 3 for LanguageCERT Academic is an extended monologue. It's a lecture, it's a podcast, maybe a presentation. So here, and it's a gap fill exercise. They need to complete the set of notes on the notepad. And you see, it looks like a notepad that somebody's filling in information. This is actually how it appears. There are so many moments in Skillful where students are asked to listen to lectures or listen to longer pieces. These are just some examples on Unit 6 that focuses also note-taking. So any task that asks students to focus on a large piece of discourse that has the features of a presentation, that includes information, and then they need to extract information from it, is very, very appropriate for this part of the test. And you see here, this is the skill, as Erica was mentioning in the book. You always know what is the skill, the micro skill that you're focusing on. So here is concurrent listening and note-taking, and you have an activity that is similar to just filling in the gaps. And I want to make a distinction. Obviously, you realize that teaching materials are not the same as testing materials, and I'm not here to argue that they are the same, but I am looking at things that will best bring students to hone their skills towards the assessment tasks. And also look at the notes here. Before listening, what do you do while listening? So there's also this skills training that can help on the day. There's also moments where you are doing a little bit of a diving into particular skills, such as identifying patterns in lectures that you see here on the slide. And always, as Erica mentioned, there is these podcast moments in the integrated skills section from Scientific American. So this is a really interesting moment from the book that matches very well the task. So, and usually these are accompanied by a gap fill exercise. So listening and gap filling for close listening for these. What I have here is exactly that to showcase this spread from Scientific American. This is from level 3. And this is the close listening exercise where you listen to the podcast and you're able to fill out the words. Now, let's move on to listening part 4, which I have, sorry, I think in the interest of time, I've taken that out, but there are a number of moments. I will move on to reading. And for LanguageCert Academic, we have 5 parts. Duration is 50 minutes, and you have the following tasks that you see on your screen. You have tasks focusing on lexical use, lexicogrammatical features as well. You have tasks that focus on text organization, such as reading task 2, on detailed reading and extracting information, such as reading task 3, and reading longer texts followed by multiple choice. I will talk about each one of these with some omissions for the interest of time. In reading part 1, this is a multiple choice with on sentence level with academic vocabulary. And here, the ability to understand vocabulary in academic text is what is assessed. Needless to say, there is plenty of moments in Skillful where students are asked to upgrade their vocabulary skills. These are just some moments. These are some extracts. Erica talked about these vocabulary moments where, for example, this is a multiple choice almost vocabulary, but you are, choosing the odd one out here. It's not that it's always the task type, but the vocabulary that they target is relevant. There is vocabulary preview before the readings, and also academic words and idioms, which would be very helpful in showing your skills for this section, which asks you to really showcase your academic vocabulary level. Now, moving on to reading part 2, we're going to here think about text organization. Cohesion, coherence, text structure is really at the key of this, at the heart of this task. So here they're given a longer academic text. They've got gaps, 6 gaps, and they're given 8 options. So there's 2 distractors. And we want them to really be comfortable with text organization awareness, also discoursal features. In Skillful level 4, we have units such as unit 8, which focuses on identifying text organization. So it's a similar task here, where we have 6 sentences that have been removed from this article, and they're reading the full text and they're matching the sentences with the blanks. And obviously here, you see it's slightly easier because they don't have distractors. But again, I said, teaching materials work differently. They're there to, empower the learner, and they're there to really hone the skill. And again, you see the content. The content is of academic interest. It's about strategic planning here. And this is what I also found interesting while I was doing the mapping. I spent a bit of time reading the texts, and I actually learned quite a lot. And I think this is also what we want from materials to be intellectually stimulating as well. What I would also work, this is again the same part, but now I'm not really working with the text, but I'm working with the sub skills underneath text organization. So this particular unit that works with reading skills, it works with anaphoric, cataphoric reference. This is either reference to something that has been said before or reference to something that is coming, and identifying reference in the text and the appropriate referent is also a key skill to understand text organization. So it's not just working strictly with the text, but it's also working with the different kinds of activities. In reading part 3, here we have, I think, a task that's really interesting, and it's about reading from multiple sources. And you know, when you're doing an academic work, that reading from multiple sources is encouraged. You need to combine sources, and you need to also think critically across the sources based on their view, on their tone, where they're coming from, what kind of source it is. So these are the kind of critical thinking skills that are required for this part of the test. And we have 4 texts, and we want the candidate, the test taker, to decide in which text the writer is doing the following. Now, this particular task type is difficult to find in course books, but in Skillful, we have these moments exactly, again, catering really to this significant academic need of reading from multiple sources. So they have, in Unit 5, for example, from Skillful 4, the opinions of 3 leaders, business leaders, and what they think of a particular topic. And they have a similar task, you know, read this and what each writer says about the topic. It might not be an A, B, or C, or D, but again, it's the same spirit. Can I identify information when I work with multiple sources? So here, this is another example from Unit 8. This is the one that I really liked. I've read the different change management models, and this is very similar to the exam task. They provide you with 3 change management models, and then you need to decide which, doing activity 2, which one belongs to each model. But obviously, you see, this is where teaching materials work really differently, because you have a pre-task, a task that really prepares you for the actual task. So again, 2 moments where we would see really good preparation moments for LanguageCERT Academic reading. Part 3. Now, part 4. Part 4 is the longer, more expository kind of argumentative texts as well. They may be descriptive, explanatory, but they are built really on complex academic argument, and it is a multiple choice. Oftentimes, this is not the one that you find in course books. And when I was doing the mapping, I did find one that is exactly a match. So the text and the task, it's a match for LanguageCERT Academic. And this is the one. So you have an academic text with argumentation and multiple choice questions. But I wouldn't be so narrow-minded. There are so many texts that they have different task types. Because it's usually easier maybe for coursebook authors to write, you know, they want the variety as well. They have yes or no, true or false. So these task types, again, they focus on what is needed here. They focus on detailed understanding of complex academic argumentation. So I would also think that these would be good moments for preparation. Okay, being mindful of time, I'm going to move on to mapping writing. And here for LanguageCERT Academic, we've got 2 parts, 2 tasks, duration of 50 minutes. The first one is a report based on visual input. And the second one is writing a formal piece of argumentative writing. And I'm going to take you straight through to part 1, where they are given visual input and they need to write a short report. What is important to note here is that in the task brief, they are really told what to include, that they need to describe, they need to give reasons, and they need to predict. So they really know what the content is, and I think this is very helpful. So you realize that the skills needed for this relate to working and describing and writing with data. So this is something that I have found many instances when looking at skillful reading and writing, that it works very well with data description. And there are a number of moments on vocabulary moments, writing models, also skills, developing skills, where they're really exactly asking for the same thing. Look at the data, improve your language. Also look at the model, what is it doing well, and work with these different kinds of multimodal input, as we call, which is part of contemporary communication. So you will have a number, Unit 2 is devoted to that. But there are also other moments at the end of the book. They've got this writing bank, this phrase bank, and also writing models relating to bar chart descriptions. So again, this will work very well with preparing for writing part 1. Writing part 2 is an argument, one of the most complex, demanding parts of discursive writing that one can do within an academic setting, but this is what is required in a number of academic settings. So again, we feel that we're actually matching with the assessment and academic reality. I work as a university tutor as well. I teach first-year students, second-year students. A lot of the writing assignments work around producing arguments and understanding the language of argument. So here, this is a first step in the way that we work our brief. We have 2 opposing views that are discussed, and then we want the student to discuss both of these views and give their own opinion. The topic here is use of internet. So we need a book then, or we need materials that really prepare students for working with academic argument. So there are a number of moments. Unit 1 and 5 from Skillful 4 really prepares you towards the process writing of an academic essay. As I said, the final product is the result. The assessment essay that you're going to write in your exam is the result of a long writing training process that you have worked with your tutors. For example, doing brainstorming tasks like the one you see here, working with different ideas, working with advantages, disadvantages, reviewing, rewriting as well. This is what you're expected to do during your preparation. We don't expect you to do that during the exam itself because the time is limited, but in order to be able to perform at the level with the limited amount of times, this needs to have been automated. So this is a moment here in Unit 1 and 5, but also there are a number of moments of theory. As Erica said, this academic skills section helps you with really understanding information about important academic skills. So what is persuasive writing? What is a strong thesis statement? How do you work with opposing ideas? How do you support your own claim? So here we see resources that really cater towards enhancing your own understanding. And the writing model there that you see, again, we believe in models. We want students to look at models, discuss models, and analyze them. We provide models as well in our own resources, candidate resources or model answers. Okay, I think I'm almost going to be okay for time. Talking about speaking now, and this is the final part. And I'm going to open up with an overview of the exam. The spoken exam is a separate exam than the written exam. It can be scheduled for the same day, but it will be a different booking. So it's the listening, reading, and writing. That is the written exam, one sitting, and then another booking for the speaking exam. As always, this is one candidate and one interlocutor, live interlocution. So it's like having a live video chat with somebody. And it's approximately 14 minutes. So you do have time to go through a number of tasks that target different aspects. So as you see here for part 1, and I'm going to go straight through to the different parts, it's about warming up and sharing some information. You usually will be talking about a variety of topics, give your opinion on contemporary issues. Again, maybe with an academic interest in mind. So questions on study skills, for example, education, your educational background, you see here the news, etc. Now, course books usually do cover certain things to a certain extent. And here, I was really surprised when I was looking at the different speaking tasks of the book. And there's one moment in the opening spread where you watch the video and then you talk a little bit about the video. And then there's after you watch activities where the discussion is extended with in a more general manner. And I think these are very good moments for preparation for part 1, with the caveat that here the questions are a little bit more demanding. And why is that? Well, because you've obviously received some input, you had a chance to watch a video, and then you respond in relation to. But for example, we could start thinking about a topic of esports, electronic sports, and there are a number of questions to really expand your ideas and your speaking around different topics. Also, there's these critical thinking moments that are at the end of a number of parts. Again, this would work very well for preparation. But again, I would say that the actual exam questions, they would be more general and slightly easier than these. Now, for speaking part 2, here, this is the part that we are quite proud of in terms of that it's a unique task for LanguageCERT Academic. And it's this role play between the interlocutor and the candidate within a scenario that they're given. And here, this replicates real-life situation communications within higher education. So what is important for listening and speaking for LanguageCERT Academic is that we do not just focus on the formal language of instruction that they will be receiving. We're also focusing on getting them to work with all the academic needs that they might have. So, talking to an accommodation officer, talking to a sports club because they want to enroll. It's the whole part of academic life, not just only the knowledge part, because you're building a life as well. So here, you look at the task types, and this is also a very important moment for the test, because in the second iteration of it, so part B of the test, then you're given another scenario, and then you need to initiate that scenario. So here, for example, it says, I'm your course tutor, and you're asking for help, and you are at the college library, you can't find a book, so you start. So it's about initiating interactions, and I think this is important because a lot of times in speaking tests, students are always in this sort of responding position. Now, let's look at what can we use. And again, I'm saying that this is one of our unique tasks for role play. We're not going to find such a task as such in Skillful, but this is a moment where we can use the speaking models. And any activities that focus on what we call interactive competence, the ability to, initiate an interaction, respond, provide feedback, and follow up is what is needed. So here you see in the model that you're able to analyze the questions and you're able to see a model of a successful interaction. That is important. And also then on the speaking skills, you've got moments where they help you with your, working with questions. So what is an open question? What is a closed question? What is a follow-up question? So these are moments that really help with interactive skills. Again, I found those to, really helpful for the particular part. Now, part three is, it does a number of things. It is a read aloud section. You're given a little bit of preparation time. You need to read aloud the short text that is shown on your screen, and then you're answering follow-up questions about the text. So you also need to showcase evidence of phonological understanding and pronunciation, but you also need to evidence comprehension and ability to talk about or around the text. So two things here would be helpful when we're preparing students, and let's see how these are found in Skillful. First of all, any formal pronunciation work that you can do with them, especially for pronouncing numbers and math and maybe symbols. Sorry, I'm not saying that these kinds of symbols, the math symbols, are going to be in the test, but numbers are usually there. Okay, so maybe 1/3, 0.4, this is something that will be there. And also any moments for pronunciation for speaking. So emphasis, how do you pronounce emphasis? The intonation for it, really, that's what I mean. So there are a number of moments that are relevant, but there are also a number of short passages that are I think, really helpful for practicing reading out loud. And in the mapping, we have identified a number of moments where, okay, you could use this to practice reading out loud. So you see here, all of the things, dates, numbers, acronyms, letters. These are things that they need to be comfortable with dealing with. Okay, and finally, we're looking at part 4. This is, I think, one of my favorite parts of the whole exam, and also one of the parts that really maps, I don't want to use the word beautifully, but it really maps very well with the book. So this is, again, multimodal communication. You're given visual input in the form of a bar chart, maybe it's a pie chart, a graph, and you're given a little bit of time to prepare, and then you need to prepare a 2-minute presentation around the input, and then answer follow-up questions. So here, it's the moment where you are bringing your presentation skills. I'm thinking of LanguageCERT Academic speaking test as a test that really tests 3 important aspects of speaking. Speaking as interaction with part 1 and part 2. Speaking as sorry, where you look, and then speaking as performance, where you're looking at part 3, where you're reading something out. And then, excuse me. And here again, speaking as performance in reading part 4, because you are giving a presentation. So you're looking at different moments and different speaking abilities. First of all, you've got to work with data. There are Unit 7 of Skillful 4 is, it works a lot on models, on speaking with data. And it's going to give you similar tasks and similar speaking model. Okay, so this is, a very good model of what one might do. And it's also got different kind of critical thinking about how to identify important information in visuals. Again, this is important, how to extract what is the important information. But there's also, for every unit, the opening spread, the opening chapter is an infographic. And there's a discussion point next to it. So as a teacher, what I would do is I would use this infographic to base speaking activities and match these with task 4 preparation, part 4 preparation. So you see all the units, they would start with this infographic. Okay. I think this is me, and I hope I have done a decent job of walking you through 2 things. First of all, the task types of LanguageCERT Academic, and then how, as a teacher, I would use the book and I would also work with the book with my students. A number of things before we I give over to Giuseppe. For LanguageCert Academic, our website is the official source for all you need, all the information on our qualification, any added services that we have, exam preparation materials, etc. We also have regular webinars. A lot of you may be joining, and these are the QR codes for our upcoming webinars. And again, you can check them out on our website. And also, there is, similar to what I have done here for you live, there is our YouTube playlist with that goes through in detail all the parts of the exam for LanguageCert Academic. It has a number of webinars that we have done with experts from our assessment team that you can also gain more insights into the development and into the assessment of the different tasks. Giuseppe, over to you.
Sylvia, that was a lot of information. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I know that you had a lot to put in the time that you had. It ideally would have been better to have a whole hour just for you. But as we said, we want to keep everything in an hour so that people can move on to the next thing. So thank you for managing that, Sylvia, and also Erica. Just to close, just a quick reminder, there will be the second webinar coming up next Wednesday, again with myself, Sylvia, and Erica's colleague, Romina Piferi, who will be talking about, empower your students for success with another textbook. Get involved, A2, and maybe also B2. We're clarifying that. So please register as soon as you get the link. Is there anything else from there, Sylvia, slides that you need me to share? I don't think so. So I can wrap up.
Well, there is our
yes, the
survey.
LanguageCert for Teachers. Your voice matters. Yeah, the survey. So at the end, do not leave. It'll take a few minutes, couple of minutes, fill in the survey. You'll be getting your certificate, as we said, after a few days. And as Sylvia mentioned, and as I mentioned at the beginning, we already agreed that with Macmillan, we'll send all of you the mapping that Sylvia has kindly given us an overview. I really thank you all for participating. As I said, I saw quite a lot of you actually registering from Italy and other countries, India and so forth. As usual, I thank you for participating. This is a lovely exam, multi-level test, ideal for the academic world. So Macmillan, thank you for the support. What else to say? Namaste, which I didn't say at the beginning. I would say I think it's very fair to say that. And arrivederci in Italian, or arrivederci with the English accent. And please do the survey. We'd like you to actually ask some questions now. So we're here. I checked in the Q&A box, there's no questions, but the questions have been written in the chat, have been answered already. So if there's anything you'd like to ask us, please feel free. This is a moment, because 1 minute, we are really analytical when it gets to timing. Nope, I don't see. Whoa, thank you so much. Basically, there's no questions, Sylvia. So Eric and Sylvia, you've done a brilliant job. This is probably the one and only webinar I've moderated where there's not even a question at the Q&A session. So that means excellent, fantastic. Looking forward to seeing Macmillan and Sylvia, and thank you all for participating, and thank you also for the team at LanguageCert, PeopleCert, supporting us with this webinar. Iris, Christina, and Anna, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And marketing,
thank you, everyone.
Floriana. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Namaste.
everyone.